Now, when the tourism industry is coming back, and they say, do I really want to go back and work as a waiter? Do I really want to go back and work as a chef? Do I really want to work as a housemaid? London is not London without the tourists. Hong Kong is not Hong Kong without the tourists, because the retailing is not there, the restaurants are not there, the theaters and the culture is not there. Traveling is a hostile environment for the traveler, especially for the first time, the destination naive people, because you go somewhere that you do not know. And basically what she said to them is that you're not going to pay me. I'm going to pay myself out of the additional margin that I'm going to create. Win, 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 win.
I'm Farah Shammas. Welcome to Hotel Talk. We hope you enjoy listening to this friendly conversation between people connected by real life in hotels. Hi everyone, I am so happy to have with you guys not just someone who's extremely well known in the hospitality and tourism industry, but who's also very dear to my heart. He was a professor of mine when I was studying tourism a couple of decades ago now. It is Professor Dimitrios Buhalis, who is joining us, I think, from England at the moment, but he is usually globe-trotting. He is a strategic management and marketing expert. He is an author of and co-author of over 20 books, I think. Teacher, lecturer, mentor, consultant, you name it. He is your guy. Dimitri, thank you so much for being with us.
Glad to be with you, Farah. Always glad to be with you.
And you don't have to tell me off because I'm not your naughty student anymore.
No, I really admire what you have done over the years, and I really admire your energy and your positivity and all the good vibes that you give to people. So I'm really proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You made my day. So tell us a little bit about your take on the current climate of tourism and hospitality. I mean, we've seen the biggest crisis that I think has hit us ever. Tell us, what is going on with the world? What can we expect from this year and next?
Oh, where do you start from? I mean, I'm just literally preparing for the first class of the year, and they call it the inspirational class. And
that's at Bournemouth University.
That's in Bournemouth University. I'm about to go in and do that at 2:00 today. So I was preparing for the last 3 days what I'm going to say to the new kids who are coming from around the world to study tourism and hospitality. And when you're looking at what has happened in the last 3 years, it's absolutely phenomenal. COVID obviously is the biggest factor. 6.5 million people have died. But the impact that had on the lives of people is phenomenal. Because I don't know of anybody who hasn't lost someone. I don't know anybody that they hadn't had their life disrupted. I don't know anybody who had not been in the middle of all that. So, as you know, I went to Hong Kong last year. I had to do 3 weeks of quarantine before getting out to be released in society.
And where did you quarantine?
In a hotel in Hong Kong. I've lost my sister in that period from COVID. So there's been so much disruption around the world. And of course, the industry was totally unprepared for a crisis like that. We've dealt with crisis for a short period of time, 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 months, 6 months. You know, the worst we've seen is September 11. That took about 6 months to clear and left a lot of things behind. But COVID is still going. You know, if you're in Asian countries, it's still going. I'm really surprised that when I came back in Europe in August, how people were totally ignoring any measures. They were going to very busy bars, they were going to festivals, they were going to all kinds of things in a very close proximity. I'm still wearing my mask when I go in an internal space with a lot of people. And a lot of people are looking at me like, what are you doing? But COVID is still around and still creating problems. And without taking measures and without continuing taking measures, we're all in danger. So that's one thing. So where is our industry?
And you feel that very personally as well with the loss in your family that you
Of course,
felt.
absolutely. But I've got countless examples of people who may have not died, but they have long COVID and they've got all kinds of things. Currently, long COVID is the third most influential disease in the United States. So it's something that we need to deal with and we haven't dealt with yet. And that's a big issue. Now, as far as tourism and hospitality is concerned, for the first time ever in my lifetime, tourism stopped. So everybody who was working in this industry, from investors to cleaners, they kind of lost their income. That's hugely influential around the world at the macro level, because the economy and all the economies that they depend on tourism, like Cyprus, but also a lot of other places around the world, they had all of a sudden to deal with incredible expenses from the medical bills and to lose their main income. Of course, we're talking about more about peripheral regions, islands. We're talking about rural areas. We're talking about areas that they are not the centers of the world. Most of the centers of the world, they had other activities that they continued up to a point. But the impact of that is now, it's now influencing a lot of different things, because we've learned how to operate from a distance. Digitization went 10 to 20 years ahead. And all of a sudden now, the property market is having issues, because the property market, a lot of people are thinking, do I need to go to the office? Do we need the city of London and we need so many offices and so much space and to pay so much rent to actually do that? And if we don't go to the office, do we need the sandwich bar? Do we need the expensive restaurant for lunch? Do we need the accommodation next to it? So as you can realize, the whole world changed dramatically. And also a lot of the people that they've changed careers all of a sudden because they had to, because a lot of the restaurants, a lot of the hotels, they were firing people or they were not employing people. So a lot of people start looking for income to support their families, and they had to deal with different things. So obviously logistics, distribution, delivery, all these things went crazy. Technology went crazy. And we lost a lot of people that a lot of people have now moved to those kind of industries. And now when the tourism industry is coming back and they say, do I really want to go back and work as a waiter? Do I really want to go back and work as a chef? Do I really want to work as a housemaid? And to be paid, I don't know what, and to do such a thankless job.
And not have their weekends and work late, and a lot of people. It was one of the things I wanted to ask you about, actually. So do tell us.
It's a global thing. So you've got a reorganization of the economy. You've got the reorganization of work and how work is happening. You've got the reorganization of everything. And then on top of that, you've got the war in Ukraine, where it changes energy prices. It raises inflation to unprecedented levels. We've never seen the UK for the last 35 years to have 10% inflation, right? And the inflation then is moving to pressure into salaries, and the pressure on the salaries is moving to pressure on the businesses. A lot of the businesses are going to go bankrupt because people currently, they do not buy anything unless they have to. And let's be honest, we've been buying a lot of things for a long time, so we don't need 35 pairs of shoes. So if you don't buy the 36th one, it's not the end of the world, right? So we have got a major crisis that's a global phenomenon. Now, I don't want to be negative if I don't have to. And there's some good things that happen out of this period. First, I stopped traveling for almost 2 years. So I created the Encyclopedia of Tourism Management and Marketing, which
I saw that on your site. It's amazing.
It's a huge project, 2 million words, 3,500 pages, 1,250 terms and 1,500 authors that they have contributed to that. I would have never had that. So that's my little gain from COVID, if you like.
Well, and gift to the world, not just gain for you. It's amazing.
Exactly. But more importantly, on a global basis, we've never seen tourism, transport, airlines, so much on the government agenda internationally. We've never seen presidents or prime ministers dealing with tourism and hospitality so much. And we've never, because they've always taken that for granted. Our industry has always provided for those people that they were in need. They provide in the peripheral areas, in the islands where nothing else could actually be profitable and competitive. And therefore, we are quietly doing our bit in the corner, but nobody really paying any attention to us because they're always looking to finance, they're always looking to the manufacturing, and sometimes to agriculture. For the first time ever, you see people really taking a good look into tourism and hospitality because they realize what we do. We realize that London is not London without the tourists. Hong Kong is not Hong Kong without the tourists because the retailing is not there, the restaurants are not there, the theaters and the culture is not there, because if you have no tourists, you have no culture and you have no theater, because they are paying for most of these activities that's happening. So from what some people were calling over-tourism, which I really hate that term, now all of a sudden we went to super under-tourism. And I've seen one of the pictures I'm using today is from Bali, where it says no tourists, no food. And I was in 2021, the summer, as soon as I was vaccinated, I traveled a little bit in Greece and I went to Naxos Island and I met a guy called Babounis who is creating one of these beautiful cheeses of Naxos. And I said to him, would you give me a discount if I buy 5 kilos? And he said, no, I'm sorry, I cannot, because last year I couldn't feed my family because tourists are not here to buy my cheese. And that kind of thing affected me really, really badly because we take tourism and hospitality for granted. The amount, from the consumer point of view, the amount of mental health issues that they were created because people could not travel. They could not travel on leisure. They could not travel to meet their loved ones. They couldn't travel to see their friends and family. There are a lot of newborn babies that they've never seen their grandfathers, their grandmothers. Sometimes they haven't seen their parents. In Hong Kong, I had a lot of friends that they had relatives either in Macau or in mainland China, and they couldn't cross the line for 2 years. The amount of stress and mental health that created was enormous.
So where do we go from here?
So one of the things that came as a result is the fact that people realize how important travel is for them. And we've seen this summer, particularly in Europe and the US, what's called revenge tourism, that people really want to travel. They really realize that they don't need the 36th pair of shoes, but they would like to have another meal in a taverna with their loved ones in Cyprus, because that creates experiences, and that's really satisfying thing. So I think the positive thing is that everybody now realizes how important tourism is, and the
world's woken up to it.
Yeah, and they're willing to spend to have that experience.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem we've got right now is that the cost of producing tourism is growing really, really fast. Someone was telling me from Greece that to provide energy for air conditioning in Greece and to provide energy for 1 day in a room, it's 10 euros. So if you've got only energy cost for 10 euros, and then you probably have 10 euros per meal for breakfast without paying for anything, cleaning or housekeeping or staff or whatever, you're starting from a 20 euros basis operational cost. That means that everything's going to go up. The airlines already said, and they already have increased dramatically their prices. Rent a car this year in Greece, you couldn't get rent a car for less than 100 euros per day, which is in 2019, I was getting for 30 euros. So the industry has shifted. So we really need, where do we go from now? We really need to restart thinking how we're going to do this thing in a smart way, how we'll employ more technology to enable people to find what they want and also self-serve much more. We need to change operating practices, and we need to change the way that we manage tourism. And we need to find very clever ways to reduce the carbon that we're using and to increase sustainability, but not in a way that a lot of people are talking about sustainability in a almost religious way, that something that needs to happen no matter what, and they expect someone to do it for them. So when we're talking about sustainability, we really need to engage our customers and our employees, and we need to commit to do all the things that we've said that we're going to be doing with reduce, recycle, reuse, and respect. All the things, the 4 Rs, all the things that we're doing. And we need to go back and create real experiences, memorable experiences that people would like to have and treasure, and create some of the most emotional engagement with our customers. Because let's be honest, over the years, we also got very complacent, and we are delivering a product and a service that was very standardized. It was, come in at 11 o'clock, come in at 3 o'clock, get out at 11 o'clock, very standardized process and procedures that they totally ignore the needs of the customer. So we need to start looking the customer in the eye, and we need to start bringing hospitality, the true meaning of the word hospitality. And whenever I've been doing training in Cyprus or in Greece or in many places around the world, in Spain, everything I was telling them that they have got to do, they're always going to be an old guy like your father or something coming forward and say, Professor, this is what we used to do 30 years ago. And I said, absolutely. And that's why you were successful. So back to the future, we really need to go back to the nature of hospitality and address the needs of the people, because hospitality is not, it's much more than a commercial activity. It's really about understanding the xenos, the foreign, the stranger, what they need, what they bring, what they need, and what they want. And sometimes what I'm always saying to my students is that quite often tourists do not know what they want. They think that they know what they want. And they've come across with some expectations that we're responsible in marketing, building them, but then they have no idea about the local nature, about the local customs, the local culture, and how it operates. And it's really about finding ways to open up and bring them authentic experiences.
Be a solution to a problem they didn't even know they had.
Exactly. Because I always surprise hoteliers that they say nobody is coming to your hotel to sleep. People do not go to hotels to sleep. They sleep because they have to sleep, but they are doing it for many different reasons. They go there because they would like to go to the beach, they would like to go to the theater, they like to go to their daughter's graduation, they would like to do a concert, they would like to engage with their family, their friends, they like to meet their mistress, whatever, but they don't come to sleep. So it's really about understanding why people are coming to us, what is their deep reason for coming to us, and serve their deep reason for coming to us. It's not here's your key, sir, goodbye, take 279 and see you at breakfast.
So tell us a little bit, one of your many fortes is marketing and digital marketing.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how hoteliers can use this to move forward and to attract new business in this difficult time.
Well, for the last 30 years, I've been dealing with how technology can help people to develop things, their profitability, their competitiveness, and get out there. We started by the simple proposition that people need to find you. People used to be, you're young enough, you don't remember that, but they used to be the yellow pages.
Oh, I remember the yellow pages.
Or Chrysos Odigos, that they say in Greece. And they'll find you through lists of different things to say, look, this is what is happening. and come and buy my services. Now, the internet and the technology enable us to bring character into things and take away not only to provide the factual information. I've got 350 rooms, I've got 3 restaurants and a kids club and a marina, but to what am I for? What about us? What about you? What kind of experience are you going to have? And then we had the social media that came forward where consumers had the voice as well. And the consumers will say either good things about you or bad things about you. And say, I went to St. Raphael and it was wonderful. And here is the picture. And this is the mezze I had. And this is what the marina looks like. And I'm drinking cocktails. And am I lucky that I'm here and you are not? Can you come to St. Raphael, please? And then increasingly, we're going to such interactive kind of things where everybody speaks to everybody at the same time, simultaneously and at real time. So now it's not like I'm going to tell you a story that I've created before and you're going to tell a story that I went last week and this is what happened. Now we're going towards what I call nowness and real-time marketing, which really I really want to understand what's happening at this particular moment and serve you at this particular moment. So the last weekend and the last 10 days with the death of the Queen in the UK, it has been an incredible experience in the UK and everywhere in the world, I guess. But in the UK, it has been phenomenal because everybody was going through grief. It was like missing their grandmother and the lovely grandmother, not any grandmother. So what you find is that people are engaging online on all kinds of things, talking about all kinds of things. And organizations need to be part of this conversation. So how do I use technology? I'm becoming part of the conversation. I'm becoming relevant to you, to your particular context at this particular moment. Anybody who was promoting holidays to Cyprus last weekend was off season. You know, it was in the wrong time to talk about the wrong thing. You really need to be empathetic, and you really need to talk to people in the way that you talk to your friends, to your cousins, to those people that you like, and you really understand what is in their mind and how can you be part of their conversation. And of course, a lot of hoteliers are telling me, do you think I've got the time to do that? And I'm here to serve breakfast, to fry eggs and, do check-ins. Yes, you are there to do that, but actually the organization that engages in an emotional depth with everybody else is the organization that's going to take people forward. Because if you don't engage with your customers, then you're a commodity. So you'll be assessed on the price, right? So if someone else give me another 4-star hotel gives me 10 euros down the road, I'll go to the cheaper one because I haven't really engaged. But if Anna, the receptionist that I've met last summer, was sending me a message and she was saying, I've seen your grief on Facebook. Was it so bad that, I really feel the misery and I really want to be, to offer my condolences and, some comforting words, then you're kind of part of the conversation. And the conversation is not always commercial. The conversation is personal. I said earlier, people are not coming to hotels to sleep, but they come to engage. And they engage with the people that they bring with them, but also they co-create with other customers that they meet, and they co-create with the people they meet in the hotel. So a lot of the seasonal hotels have got a major problem with that because quite often they've got such a staff rotation that people are coming and they don't find repeat customers are coming back and they say,
familiar faces.
Where's Michalis? Oh, what happened to Michalis? What do you mean he went to another hotel? And there's a funny story about me going back to Bali after 25 years and looking for a restaurant guy who offered me an incredible meal when I went there first time in 95.
Wow.
And I surprised everybody by when they told me, what do you like to do in Bali? So I said, I like to meet Baggy. And I met Baggy. And,
so you found him?
Of course.
You found him? Oh.
Of course. And he was very, he has progressed. He's got a little hotel now and all the rest of it. But for me, going back to Bali, it was about finding someone I met 25 years ago. And he trusted me. He offered me something extraordinary. He created a fantastic experience. And for me, that was the spirit of Bali. It was Okay, all the temples and everything there was, but the real spirit of Bali is buggy. So what do we need to do? What do we need to do?
It is about the experience.
It's about the experiences. It's about how we're using technology to support this experience and engage with people in the way that we engage with our cousin.
So what do we need to do?
What we need to do, we need to engage in an authentic communication, talk to people on the things that they really want to talk to. Decommercialize the activity doesn't mean that we forget the profit margin, we forget what's happening, but nobody will actually buy a product if you're always talking about the product. It's really about buy the experience, sell the experience. Speak to people where they like to be spoken at. Okay, I'm famous now because I'm saying to people that they need to go on WhatsApp and Viber and communicate with their customers on WhatsApp and Viber. Because if you communicate with everybody else in WhatsApp and Viber, why do you expect that your customer is going to give you a ring on a Cyprus number from wherever and speak to you on the phone?
Or email.
Email is good for certain things, especially once you've got the reservation and you really want to send the contract and you really want to send terms and conditions. Email is the best, but it's not only email. So it's really about understanding where your customer is and where they're going and creating tools for this thing. Now, my latest research is about metaverse, where metaverse is it's a game changer because we're going to have virtual experiences and real experience at the same time, before, during, and after the travel. So I would like to go to San Rafael virtually and do a walk around, get a feel and look of what I'm going to experience, and then choose whether this is for me or not for me. Do people dress very formally for dinner or not? Do I would like to be in a restaurant where everybody is with a tie or not? Is there an informal restaurant by the beach that I'd like to sit down and not go through the formality of dinner, for example? I don't know. But I like to feel that, and I don't get it from description. I really want to get in to this digital area. And of course, I said about something familiar, but if I take you to Korea, if I take you to Hawaii, if I take you to Kenya, where you may not be as familiar, the less familiar you are, the more information you need and the more evidence you need to actually reassure yourself about what you're going to experience.
And decide to book it.
Yeah, because going to on travel is going to a hostile environment. Traveling is a hostile environment for the traveler, especially for the first time, the destination naive people, because you go somewhere that you do not know. You are going to be a temporary citizen for a couple of weeks. You cannot jump on the plane and go back because you've already committed, you have paid, you don't have a reservation and all the rest of it. So you really need the reassurance that for those few days, you'll be safe, your family will be safe, you can drink the water, you'll understand the food, you will like the experience. And in fact, you have worked for about a couple of months to spend 2 weeks. So normally it's about 2 months salary to buy you a 2 weeks holiday. That's my rule of thumb. It works quite often. So you really want to see what did you work for 2 months and what is the value that you're going to get out of that. And then when you're going to destination, I think a lot of the technologies are going to come forward with augmented reality to explain much better what you see. So when you go to Paphos and you see all the mosaics, you just see mosaics. After 10, 15 minutes, unless someone really explains to you in the best possible way, you switch off and you go for a beer. Now, if you've got virtual reality where you've got representations, videos, things that they'll kind of travel you back in space and history and tells you this is what was happening here, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, then you engage with the destination, you engage with the culture, you're in a deep engagement. You understand what's going on. And then that gets you interested and gets you much more into the local culture, and the experience becomes real.
So tell us a little bit, because you touched earlier on 2 things I wanted to ask you about. One is the hybrid form of working and how you see that moving forward in hotels? Because I mean, I experience it a lot where I have team players that say, well, it was fine working at home, and can't I just stay at home, if they're obviously admin, not if they're frontline staff. And also how many people left the industry because they did decide, I want to have Christmas with my family, or they just remembered the negatives of being in a hotel and not necessarily the positives, and what we can do to bring either those people back to the industry or new people to come into the industry, or youngsters to come and study, let's say with you now at university. So yeah, if we can just talk about those two.
Okay, let me start backwards. I think there are two types of people who work in hotels. There are the people like you and me that we have always loved to work in this kind of environment, that you recognize that you're never going to make enough money in hotels, that you're not going to have enough sleep, and you're not going to see your family a lot, but the pleasure of creating some incredible experiences, the pleasure of making people happy, and the pleasure of meeting people from around the world in different cultures and actually bring them into your place and create that magic moment where they go, this can pay, nobody can pay for that. Nobody, this is, no other industry can ever give us that kind of drug, if you like, because it's a drug. And those people will never move out of the industry. So I see them around the world. They're really disappointed that other people do not follow them, and they cannot find the chefs, they cannot find the waiters, they cannot find all these operational people, but they'll never leave the industry because we cannot live without it. Let's face it, I cannot. Although I'm an academic, but in every single opportunity I find to go in the industry and actually play an operational role, I go and play an operational role. And it's quite funny because I enjoy it so much. So that's one thing. The second thing is there are a lot of people who came in as making an income, just do their life good and move on. Some of these people will come back, some of these people will stay away. I think it's really important for us as an industry to reflect what we do. And I was talking to Marriott in Hong Kong, and I was talking to a lot of other hoteliers, Rosewood, and I said, look, guys, we really need to modernize work. We should not expect people to be dishwashers and pot washers at this age, because if this work I don't want to do it myself, why would I expect other people to do it? So we really need to start going back and re-engineering everything we do and start thinking, is this work need to be done by a human being or can be automated? Can we outsource it back to consumers? Airlines are very good at this. You used to go to the airline office to get a ticket, they'll print the ticket, they'll give that to you, then you used to go for check-in and all the rest of it. Now, a lot of these things are happening, consumers are doing. They're doing their own bookings, they are doing their own check-ins, they do everything, they do weight their luggage. The first thing you see them is on when they are boarding the plane. They still cannot fly the plane, but soon enough we'll have autonomous planes that they'll fly themselves. So that's an issue. So we really need to re-engineer work in tourism and make sure that the work that we offer is enjoyable. And people are coming in not to wash dishes, but to meet customers, welcome them, and co-create experience with them. So the first thing is really co-creating the experience. The second, and re-engineering the workplace to make sure that this is happening. The second thing is we really need to pay better respect and pay better our talent, because if we don't, the talent will walk to other places. We really need to understand the value that people are bringing to our industry, and we really need to have the right people for that. So it's really critical on when we're recruiting. So it's the whole talent management process, recruiting, onboarding, training, rewarding, promoting, all the way to retirement. And then part of this is whether you work on-site or you work outside. The legislation is actually quite tight in most of the countries around the world, because the legislation is based on a previous era. But we really need to realize that we need to move forward to a new era where people need flexible work and people need to meet their own requirements. So a reservations department, for example, do you really need a reservations department to be in the hotel, or can someone do it remotely? And this person happened to be in Finland. Is this a problem for you, provided that they work with the other colleagues and provide they've got access to data? And maybe an opportunity, if they don't come 9 to 5, you may extend your reservations department to 24 hours a day because they are around the world. And if they are, what we face quite often, and this is about also inclusion and equal opportunities, we find a lot of women that they that they are doing parenting. They would like to work during the times that kids are at school, and they would like to work for 6 hours, or they like to work in the evening when the kids have gone to bed and they've got 3 or 4 hours where they can work in the evening. I've got a friend who is a revenue manager, and she's raising 3 kids, and she was telling me, "Oh, I would love to work, but I cannot work because I've got the 3 kids." And I said to her, "In revenue management, you don't really need to be
a 9 to 5.
A 9 to 5, and you don't need to be on one location." So what she did, she went around, and I gave her that idea, and she went around and she grabbed 4 small hotels, average size that's in Bournemouth, and what she does is she does revenue management for 4 hotels. And basically what she said to them is that you're not going to pay me. I'm going to pay myself out of the additional margin that I'm going to create. Win, 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 win all the way. So I think back to your question about should we go back to work or should we do it remotely? I think it depends. I think there are beautiful things when people are getting together and they do face-to-face meetings, and I'm insisting on face-to-face meeting in some occasions. There are good things that people can do at their own time, at their own space, at their own location. So, and it's not everything suits all. We really need to understand who and what suits what, when, and how, and get into this conversation with people.
So my last question is, why should somebody study tourism?
That's a very interesting question. In fact, I sometimes discourage people from studying tourism. I tell them, look, if you want money, go to finance, go to law, or go to some of the other areas that they're going to give you a lot of money. But in actual fact, people need to study tourism for 2 reasons. One is first, tourism. When we're talking about tourism, we're talking more about the macro level, and the macro level is really understanding the planning issues, the development. How can you bring the resources together to meet the requirements and the demand? And also to understand the needs of the local residents, to understand what the local community wants, and to make sure that there is a fair and square way of actually manage that. And quite often you need to study tourism to know how to stop the politician when they are doing stupid things, because most of the tourism politicians around the world, they have no idea about tourism. They come in, they think they know it all, and they do stupid things. I spend most of the weekend watching television, watching the procession of the Queen and the funeral. And everybody was telling me, "Are you so much involved with the royal family?" And no, I was not. I was looking to the organization that went behind it. And I was looking at how do they manage so many VIPs, so many security, so much security, so many things that are happening. And I had a big clock that I was watching. And the funeral finished 11:56. There was 2 minutes of national silence. Then was the national anthem, and 11:59, the coffin was getting out of the abbey. This level of planning and precision is absolutely remarkable. And why is that important for tourism? Because in tourism, we let places go. Anything happens. Nobody is managing. You have a Yanapa doing whatever a Yanapa is doing, right? So when you're studying tourism, you're studying the management, the planning, the marketing of areas, and you're studying on what can you do in order all this activity to make sense, to create value for all the stakeholders, and not to disadvantage other customers, local residents, whoever. And this is a very, very, very complex industry. It's the most complex industries you can come across because there's so many stakeholders and everybody's trying to create benefits for themselves, but at the expense of another. This, I think, is fascinating. And I think
also
this is
a microcosm. Sorry, I interrupted you there, but we had another guest on the podcast who is not in tourism, but he studied it. And when I was talking to him, he's actually from a royal family, and he said, because it gave me so much and it's helped me in my life, because anywhere that I want to apply knowledge or apply management or apply any skills, tourism taught me that, because it's a whole world within this microcosm of a building, basically.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think when you go out of this, you just realize that there are no other I'm teaching management, and so in management, what you say is that how you're going to be more profitable and more competitive as an organization. The minute you bring all the different stakeholders together, and the minute that you're trying to do collective competitiveness and collective profitability and collective value creation, co-creation, then there's no other industry that's doing like that. And that's why tourism is very specific, because we bring all kind of different things, and we need different resources to come into the system. And the resources quite often they're not mine, they're not yours. In your hotel, you've got your resources, you've got your investment, you've got the things that you buy, but equally you're using public goods. You're using the beach, you're using the culture, you're using all kinds of things that they do not belong to you.
And maybe not in your control either.
They're not in your control either. So it's really about how do you manage, how do you coordinate all this? And I bring back the Encyclopedia of Tourism Management and Marketing, partly because I'm a very good marketeer and I'd like to make the point right at the end. But actually what we have in the introduction is the tourism pyramid that's talking about all these things. And it's talking about what do you need? What are the sources of competence that you need in order to manage tourism? And what are the conditions that you have to address in order to make sure that tourism is done in the best possible way?
Lots of food for thought there. Now, the bonus question at the end of every podcast is not from me, it's from our team. Our team have put together a list of questions, not knowing who's going to pick it out, of a hat, so to speak, but I've got them here, and you just tell me when, and I'm going to pull one out.
Now.
Right, here we go. So you got, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
That is the most difficult question, because I get bored if I'm living somewhere for a long time, so I keep moving. But I'm a marketing guy, so in Cyprus.
There you go. I thought you were going to say Greece.
I'm a marketing guy, I said.
There you go. Well done. Thank you. We'll end on that. In Cyprus, where there's a little bit of everything: mountains, sea, history, culture, modern, skyscrapers. We've got it all on our little rock.
Exactly. And Farah is there, so that's
great. Exactly. Oh my goodness, what a good point to close on. Thank you so much, my professor. Sending you lots of love from Cyprus over to the UK.
Take good care.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on.